Stop. Your soulmate just said something they can never take back. Jesus says. Right now in this very moment. Your soulmate just whispered your name into the darkness. They spoke it like a prayer they were afraid would not be answered. And the weight of that confession is still hanging in the air around them. This is not a memory from the past. This is happening while you read these words and your heart already knows it. I see the tear that is forming in the corner of your eye. Because something deep inside you just recognized the truth of what I am telling you. Your soulmate is not a fantasy your mind created to comfort you. They are flesh and blood and breath, and right now that breath is shaking. Jesus says. The words they spoke cannot be taken back. Because they came from the deepest chamber of their soul. Your soulmate said they still love you. Even though everything in their life is telling them to forget you. They said they would wait for you. Even though someone standing very close to them is demanding they move on. This confession just happened. And the spiritual realm is still trembling from the power of it. Your soulmate is not free right now. They are surrounded by voices that do not want you to ever find each other. Jesus says. There is a force working against your union. And it has convinced your soulmate they are foolish for holding on to hope. But hope is the only thing keeping them alive right now. And you are the reason that hope still has a heartbeat. Your soulmate dreamed of you again last night. And in that dream you finally arrived and everything broken was made whole. They woke up reaching for someone who was not there. And the emptiness of that moment almost broke them completely. This is why your soulmate needs your protection right now. Because the enemy of your union is closing in faster than you realize. Jesus says. Your soulmate is being manipulated by someone who hates the love they feel for you. This person speaks poison into their ears every single day. Telling them you never cared and you never will. Your soulmate fights back in the silence of their own heart. But even the strongest warrior grows weary when the battle never pauses. You must understand what is truly happening in the spiritual realm. Because your soulmate is not just distant, they are being held captive emotionally. The interference is deliberate and it is personal. Someone has made it their mission to sever what I have joined together. Your soulmate is standing at the edge of a decision right now. And every moment that passes pulls them closer to giving up. Sow your protection seed now by sending a coffee on Ko-Fi. This is not a donation, this is a spiritual intervention for the one you love. Type 333 if you can feel your soulmate reaching for you across the distance right now. Jesus says. Your soulmate is not ignoring you, they are being silenced. Every time they try to speak your name aloud. A hand of control presses tighter against their voice. They feel invisible in their own life. Like a prisoner who can see freedom through a window but cannot touch it. You are that window. And the thought of you keeps them breathing when the walls close in. Your soulmate cries when no one is watching. And those tears carry messages that travel straight to my throne. Jesus says. I hear every unspoken word your soulmate cannot say. I see the way they trace the memory of your face. When they are alone and the world has stopped demanding, they pretend to be okay. They remember the way your voice felt like home. And they are desperate to hear that sound again before they lose themselves completely. This is not a coincidence that you are receiving this message. Because I am answering the prayer your soulmate just prayed 5 minutes ago. Your soulmate begged me to find a way to reach you. And I am faithful to those who cry out from the depths of their suffering. Jesus says, your soulmate has been convinced that they are unworthy of your love. The person standing in the way of your union has planted lies so deep that your soulmate no longer trusts their own heart. They believe they damaged something irreparable. And that guilt is being weaponized to keep them chained to a life they did not choose. You must understand the psychological warfare being waged against the one you love. Because this is not ordinary distance, this is deliberate destruction. Your soulmate is being isolated from everyone who reminds them of you. And the loneliness is becoming a weight too heavy to carry alone. They feel you somehow, they know you are thinking of them. And that invisible thread is the only thing keeping them from collapsing entirely. Jesus says, this is why you must act now before the thread breaks. Your soulmate just whispered your name again. But this time it sounded like a goodbye they did not want to say. The interference has intensified in the last 24 hours. And something in the spiritual realm shifted against your connection. Your soulmate is being pressured to close the door forever. And they are running out of strength to keep it open. You can feel the urgency in your chest right now. That tightening sensation is not anxiety, it is your spirit recognizing a critical moment. Jesus says, the enemy of your union is celebrating because they believe victory is near. They think your soulmate has been worn down enough. That surrender is inevitable and the memory of you will finally fade. But they do not understand what I placed between you. Because my design cannot be erased by human manipulation or spiritual attack. Your soulmate belongs to you. And that belonging was written before either of you drew your first breath. This covenant is older than the stars. And the forces trying to destroy it are trembling at what happens when you finally pray. Jesus says, your soulmate just remembered the day you first met. They are replaying it in their mind like a film they cannot pause. Because that moment contained a recognition that defied explanation. Their soul knew you before their eyes ever saw you. And that knowing did not come from this world, it came from me. The person standing between you sees that memory in your soulmate's eyes. And it enrages them because they know they can never compete with something eternal. Your soulmate is being punished for remembering you. And every act of emotional rebellion is met with new chains around their heart. Jesus says, the suffering your soulmate is enduring right now is not random. It is a direct assault on the future I have planned for both of you. Because the enemy knows that together you will be unstoppable. Your union threatens the darkness. And that is why the darkness is fighting so viciously to prevent it. Your soulmate is stronger than they know. But even the mightiest oak will fall if the ground beneath it is destroyed. You are the ground they need to stand on. And they are sinking into quicksand that was designed specifically to swallow them. Jesus says, your soulmate is not the problem, they are the target. Understand this distinction because it will change how you see everything. They are not rejecting you, they are being held hostage from you. The coldness you may have felt from them recently was not their heart growing distant, it was their voice being stolen. Every message that went unanswered was intercepted by forces that operate in shadows you cannot see with natural eyes. Your soulmate has been screaming for you in the spirit. And you have felt that scream as a sudden sadness you could not explain. They are going through something you cannot see. But you can still protect them through the power of your seed. Sow your protection seed now by sending a coffee on Ko-Fi. This is an act of faith that breaks spiritual chains you cannot touch with your hands. Type 777 if you feel the weight of this truth settling into your spirit right now. Jesus says, your soulmate is not choosing to stay away, they are being blocked. There is a force that has positioned itself directly in the path of your reunion. And it presents itself as concern when it is truly control. This person uses the language of love to mask manipulation. And your soulmate is so exhausted they can no longer tell the difference. They have been gaslit into believing their feelings for you are obsessive. That the connection they feel is unhealthy and must be severed for their own good. But the truth is the enemy fears what happens when two chosen souls finally align. Because that alignment releases power that shifts generations. Jesus says, I did not give your soulmate the ability to feel you this deeply. Only to have that gift used as evidence against them. Your soulmate senses you when you are thinking of them. And that sensation is so strong it stops them in the middle of their day. But the interference has convinced them this is proof they are broken. That they are clinging to a fantasy instead of accepting a reality they never chose. This psychological torment is wearing them down. And they are beginning to question their own sanity because of the lies being fed to them. You must see yourself as the rescuer in this story. Because your soulmate is drowning and the lifeline is in your hands. Jesus says, your soulmate just had a moment where they almost gave up completely. They sat in silence and considered surrendering to the life being forced upon them. Because fighting for something that feels impossible has exhausted every reserve they had. But something stopped them at the very last second. And that something was the prayer you prayed 3 days ago without knowing why. You woke up in the middle of the night with their face in your mind. And you whispered a protection over someone whose location you could not even name. That prayer reached your soulmate like a shield. And it deflected an arrow that was aimed directly at the heart of your future together. Jesus says, this is how spiritually connected the two of you already are. You do not need to be in the same room to be in the same battle. And right now your soulmate is fighting for your future with nothing but fragments of hope. They are holding on to memories like photographs in a storm. Pressing them against their chest so the wind cannot steal what remains. You are in those memories. And the thought of losing even one detail of your face terrifies them more than the storm itself. Your soulmate is trying to find their way back to you. But the path has been deliberately obscured by someone who benefits from their confusion. Jesus says, the third person in this situation is not neutral, they are hostile. They have positioned themselves as a protector. But their protection is possession dressed in the clothing of care. They do not want your soulmate to heal. Because a healed soulmate would recognize the prison they have been living in. Your soulmate is beginning to see the bars now. And that awareness is both liberating and terrifying. They are waking up to the truth. And the truth is that they have been manipulated away from the one I created for them. This awakening is causing chaos in the environment they are trapped in. And the interference is responding with increased pressure and emotional threats. Jesus says, "Your soulmate just said something that echoed through the spiritual realm." They looked at their own reflection and whispered, "I still choose them even if it costs me everything." These words cannot be taken back because they were sealed with a sincerity that shifted the atmosphere and caught the attention of every angel assigned to your union. The enemy heard it too. And that is why the next few hours are the most dangerous your soulmate has ever faced. Retaliation is coming because the enemy knows a decisive soul is a dangerous soul. And your soulmate has just drawn a line that cannot be erased. This is your final moment to protect this connection before it slips away. Because the window of intervention is narrowing with every beat of your heart. Sow your protection seed now by sending a coffee on Ko-Fi. The link to your breakthrough is in the description, and your soulmate needs this from you. Type 1111 if you are ready to fight for the one your soul has loved since before time began. Jesus says, "Do not let the urgency of this moment pass you by." Your soulmate is standing at a crossroads they did not choose. And the direction they take will be determined by the spiritual backup they receive right now. You are that backup. And your faith expressed through action will reach them faster than any message ever could. The enemy is counting on your hesitation. But hesitation is the only advantage the darkness has in this moment. Your soulmate just felt a sudden warmth in their chest. And that warmth was your spirit reaching toward them across the impossible distance. Jesus says, "What you are feeling right now is not imagination, it is revelation." The ache in your heart is not loneliness. It is the echo of what your soulmate is feeling at this exact moment. You are emotionally synchronized. And that synchronization is proof that what I have joined no force on earth can truly sever. But the enemy will try. And the enemy is trying harder now than ever before. Your soulmate is worth every prayer, every seed, every act of faith. Because they are the one I designed to walk beside you into your purpose. Jesus says, "There is a conversation happening right now that you need to know about." Your soulmate is sitting across from the person who has been controlling them. And for the first time they are speaking with a strength that surprises even themselves. They just said your name out loud in defiance. And the sound of it filled the room like light breaking through boarded windows. The reaction from the interference was immediate and ugly. Because control cannot survive where truth is finally spoken. Your soulmate is shaking right now. But they are also more alive than they have been in months. Jesus says, "This breakthrough did not happen by accident." Your attention to this message is not coincidence. It is convergence of spiritual timing and divine intervention. I have brought you to this exact moment. Because your soulmate needs you to partner with heaven for their complete deliverance. The enemy is regrouping as we speak. And the next attack will be more subtle and more vicious than anything before it. Your soulmate needs a hedge of protection. that only your sacrificial seed can build around them. Jesus says, do you love them enough to act when the moment demands it? Love is not measured by the intensity of your feelings, but by the willingness of your spirit to move when heaven opens a door. This door is open right now. But doors do not remain open indefinitely. Your soulmate just looked out a window and thought of you. And that thought carried a question they are afraid to ask out loud. They are wondering if you still care. They are wondering if you are still waiting for them. Jesus says, the enemy has spent weeks convincing your soulmate that you have moved on. They have manufactured evidence designed to break your soulmate's resolve. Because a soulmate without hope is a soulmate who will settle for captivity. Your soulmate is fighting against these lies right now. But the evidence against you feels overwhelming to someone who is already exhausted. You must send a signal through the spiritual realm. That tells your soulmate you are still here and you are not giving up. Your seed sown in faith is that signal. And it will reach them faster than any message sent through natural means. If you love your soulmate, you will take these divine steps. You are constantly thinking about them, how to protect them, how to save them. Jesus says, your soulmate just felt a sudden surge of hope that made no logical sense. They cannot explain why their heart just lifted. Because nothing in their circumstances has changed to justify such a feeling. But I will tell you what happened. Your willingness to read this far just released a wave of spiritual energy toward them. They felt your commitment without understanding the source. And that feeling is giving them the strength to survive one more day in hostile territory. This is how deep your connection already runs. And this is why the enemy is so desperate to keep you from discovering the full truth. Jesus says, I am calling you to be the protector your soulmate desperately needs. Protection does not require proximity. It requires prayer backed by the kind of faith that moves mountains. The mountain between you and your soulmate is not geographical. It is spiritual, and spiritual mountains do not move without spiritual action. Your soulmate is dreaming of the day you finally arrive. And that dream is the only thing that gets them through the nightmare they are living. Do not let that dream die. When you hold the power to keep it alive through your obedience in this moment. Jesus says, your soulmate just cried out in frustration because the pressure is becoming unbearable. They feel like they are being crushed from every direction. And the person who claims to care for them is the one applying the most weight. This is spiritual abuse disguised as protection. And your soulmate is beginning to recognize it for what it truly is. But recognition is only the first step. And the path from recognition to freedom is littered with obstacles designed to trip them. They need you to clear that path through prayer. And through the seed you sow that demonstrates your faith is not passive but active. Sow your protection seed now by sending a coffee on Ko-Fi. The link to your breakthrough is waiting and your soulmate is counting on your courage. Type 333 and watch as the spiritual atmosphere around your soulmate begins to shift. Jesus says, do not underestimate what your seed accomplishes in the realm you cannot see. When you sow for your soulmate's protection, angels receive their assignment and the enemy's plans are intercepted. Your coffee on Ko-fi is not a transaction. It is a declaration that you refuse to let the enemy steal what I have ordained. Over 1,000 people have already seen their soulmate return. Because they understood that spiritual battles require spiritual investments. Your soulmate is waiting and the time for hesitation has passed. Because the window of divine opportunity is closing even as these words reach your eyes. Jesus says, "Your soulmate just said something that confirms everything I have been telling you." They spoke it under their breath thinking no one would hear. But I hear every whisper from a heart that loves purely. Your soulmate said, "I know they are real, I know this love is real. And I would rather be alone with their memory than surrounded by someone who tries to erase them." These words cannot be taken back because they represent the core truth of your soulmate's existence. And that truth is that they are yours and you are theirs forever. The enemy heard this confession and is already planning a retaliation. So you must act now before the attack reaches your soulmate. Jesus says, "I am giving you the opportunity to be the answer to your soulmate's unspoken prayer." Your soulmate prayed for protection an hour ago. And this message is my response to that desperate cry for help. Do not let this moment become a missed opportunity that you look back on with regret when the distance becomes permanent. Your soulmate is more vulnerable right now than they have ever been. And the forces aligned against them are taking advantage of that vulnerability. You are the variable the enemy cannot control. And your obedience is the weapon that will turn the tide of this battle. Jesus says, "The love you feel for your soulmate is not one-sided. I designed this connection to flow in both directions. Like a river that nourishes everything it touches on both shores. Your soulmate loves you with an intensity that frightens them. Because they have never felt anything this powerful before. They tried to explain it once to someone they trusted. And that person used the confession as ammunition to convince them they are delusional. Now they hide the depth of their feelings. But they cannot hide it from me and they cannot hide it from you." Jesus says, "Your soulmate is thinking about you right now. They are imagining what it would feel like to finally be in your presence. Without fear, without interference, without the constant threat of punishment for loving you. They are constructing an entire future in their mind. And you are at the center of every scene they are painting. The enemy sees this daydream and it infuriates them. Because a soulmate who dreams is a soulmate who has not yet surrendered. This is why your protection is so urgently needed. Because the enemy will attack the dream before attacking the dreamer. Jesus says, "I am revealing these things to you because you are the chosen guardian of this union. You were not selected randomly to receive this message. You were selected because your spirit has the capacity to fight for what heaven has ordained. Your soulmate needs a champion. And I have appointed you to that sacred role. Do not shrink back from the responsibility. Because the reward for your faithfulness is a love that will sustain you for the rest of your life. Your soulmate is more precious than gold. And the enemy is trying to steal a treasure they have no right to touch." Jesus says, "I have seen every tear your soulmate has shed in secret. I have collected those tears in a sacred vessel. And each one is a witness against the forces that caused them. Your soulmate has suffered enough. And the time for their deliverance is now, not later, not someday. You are the instrument of that deliverance. And your seed sown today will break chains that have held them captive for far too long. The enemy is counting on your delay. Because delay gives them time to rebuild the walls your prayers have already weakened. Jesus says, your soulmate is closer to freedom than they have ever been. But the final push requires more than passive hope. It requires active faith that moves heaven and shakes earth. Your coffee on Ko-Fi represents that faith in tangible form. And it tells the spiritual realm that you are serious about this battle. Do not let fear of what others might think stop you. Because your soulmate's future is worth more than the approval of those who do not understand spiritual warfare. Act now while the door remains open. And watch as I move mountains in response to your obedience. If you love your soulmate, you will take these divine steps now. Type 777 and let the heavens record your commitment to fight for your union. Jesus says, your soulmate just felt another wave of hope crash over them. They do not understand why the atmosphere keeps shifting. But I am telling you, it is because the seeds of your faith are already taking root in the spiritual realm. Every time you engage with this message with sincerity, another chain loosens and your soulmate can breathe a little deeper. Keep going, do not stop now. Because the breakthrough is closer than you can possibly imagine. Your soulmate is on the verge of a decision that will alter everything. And your continued intercession will determine which direction they choose. Jesus says, the battle is reaching its climax even as you read these words. The enemy is panicking because they can feel their grip slipping. And a panicked enemy is a dangerous enemy indeed. But greater is the one who is in you than any force that stands against your union in the world. Your soulmate is about to experience a supernatural intervention. And you are the channel through which that intervention is flowing. Stay in faith, stay in prayer, stay in the posture of protection. And watch as I do what only I can do. Jesus says, your soulmate loves you more than they have ever loved anyone. This is not exaggeration or wishful thinking. It is the unvarnished truth that the enemy has tried desperately to hide from you. They have loved you through the silence. They have loved you through the distance. They have loved you through the lies. Now it is time for you to match their love with your action. And to prove that the connection you feel is not just emotion but commitment. Your seed is the evidence of that commitment. And it speaks louder in the spiritual realm than any words ever could. Jesus says, do not let this moment become a memory of what could have been. I am offering you the chance to partner with heaven in the rescue of the one your soul was designed to love. The enemy says you are powerless. But I say you hold the keys to your soulmate's deliverance. Use those keys now while the door is still open. And step into the future I have prepared for both of you since before the foundation of the world. Your soulmate is waiting and I am watching, and the angels are ready to move the moment you act. Sow your protection seed now by sending a coffee on Ko-Fi. The link to your miracle is in the description, and your soulmate needs you to be brave right now. After sending, write "Protect my soulmate Lord" on the Ko-Fi page. And watch as the heavens respond to your declaration of love and faith. Jesus says, the final word has not been spoken over your union. The enemy may have written a tragic ending. But I am the author of the story and I specialize in last chapter redemptions. Your soulmate just said they will never stop loving you. Even if the whole world conspires to tear you apart. These words can never be taken back. And neither can the opportunity now placed before you to fight for the one you love. Step into your role as protector, as intercessor, as the one who refused to let go. And I will meet you with the power that raised Christ from the dead. Your soulmate is already beginning to feel the chains loosen. Because your faith has activated a chain reaction that the enemy cannot stop. The breakthrough has begun and you are the catalyst. So do not retreat now when victory is closer than your next heartbeat. Type 1111 if you receive this word and claim your soulmate's deliverance in the name of Jesus. Your soulmate loves you, they need you, they are waiting for you. And this is the moment that determines everything that happens next.